Hi, I'm Wes Bleed, and I'm talking with communication strategist, author, speaker, Dianna Booher, author of Your Signature Life, Pursuing God's Best Every Day. I had the privilege of narrating the book, and now I've got the privilege of talking with Dianna. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Wes. It's great to be with you.
Hey, you've written a lot of books, and you have been talking about, as we mentioned, communication and business strategy and so forth. Why this book? Why Your Signature Life?
I see people trying to find their spot. Frequently, the phrase is, I want to find my people. They want to fit in, and they feel like many times that their job is going nowhere and they don't really have a purpose, or they can't find their calling. They think it'll be better somewhere else. I just need to find my calling.
So this book is for that person.
Absolutely. The yearning, I think, that's inside all of us is to leave a legacy, a lasting legacy, and to find meaning in our work and meaning in our relationship.
Yeah, your ideal self, your best self, best version of yourself, best version of the life that you can imagine. So it takes some imagination, right? You got to think it through and decide, what is it that I feel good about when describing that signature life.
That's true. I think, God is the creator of creation, the innovator, the great innovator. And I think many of us sometimes live on autopilot. We don't really think about the day, the week. How am I growing through this? How am I contributing to others' life? What will this be in my legacy when I'm gone? What will people think about? Have I done anything today significant? And I think awareness is just a big part of that, to think creatively and not just drift through life, but actually design the life we want.
Well, you brought up God, and I know it's a faith-based book, and that's exciting. And I'm just wondering, how would you describe how God is at work in our lives when you especially as you look at your signature life?
Well, in a lot of ways, when we go through difficult times, whether it's a natural disaster, it's our own health problem, a loss of a loved one, any of those times, I think God is involved. Obviously, if we're trying to please Him in our reactions to those things. And so the life that we live every day, again, tells others who are watching our life, what is our character like? What do we value in relationships, and what do we want to contribute through our work? And I'm not talking about some work like become a missionary in another country and never see your family. I'm talking about just every day, whether you're a chef at a restaurant, whether you are shipping out products at Amazon, or whether you are a consultant coming into a Fortune 500 company and solving a major problem for them. I think all of those can be equal in God's side if we're doing our best, if we are creating excellent work.
So true, so true. And so you brought up excellence. So let's talk a little bit more about that. What does excellence in the workplace or in a job or career look like? And, what guidelines would you put on the whole idea of modeling excellence in the world?
Well, I think there are general principles. Of course, if you are a software designer or you're a marketing person for a fashion company, the specifics are going to look different. But I think there's some general guidelines in excellence. For example, showing up to engage, being there with your emotional commitment, having energy, taking care of your health, your body, your mind, so that when you get there, you're not exhausted, but you have your full human capacity to contribute. It means when you're in a meeting, speaking up and taking ownership that meeting comes to resolve a problem or brainstorm whatever you're doing in that meeting, that you're really contributing. You're not just a passive person. It means meeting deadlines that you commit to, taking initiative, being accountable for results, not just, that's not my job, or I'm not doing that. But thinking, what is the goal that we're trying to accomplish here in this? What's our mission in this organization? And really taking ownership to deliver and contribute to that mission. All of that is excellence in your work.
I like what you said about meetings actually resolving something. That's great. As opposed to
Yes.
meetings for the sake of meetings, right?
Yes, too
Oh,
often people go and just zone out.
yeah.
Here's where everybody else can take control, and I'll just check on my email here or answer a few texts. And that is a half-hearted that effort. That is not what I'm talking about when I say approach your job with excellence.
Let's go back to purpose and calling. They might be synonymous, or you might see them differently, but what's the process one can follow to find that?
Well, I think it's not about the job, the role, but it's about what you finding what God designed you to do or create. And I've put together this, what I call the 6 Ps for that. And that is the provision. What skills, talents, aptitudes do you have? Those are your tools to work with. So provision. And then there has to be passion. I think we're created with certain things that we enjoy and things that we don't enjoy. So if you feel passionate about something, that's a good indication that that's part of your calling. And then the third P, plot, plot or the path. If God has put you in a situation where you have no opportunity to do something, then that can't be your calling. There's going to be a situation or a circumstance that allows you to do it. It may not in every season of your life work out easily without any drawbacks or any roadblocks that you have to go around. But in other words, if you don't have a voice to be an opera singer, your calling is not to sing in the opera. You have to have all of those things, the circumstance, the path to get there, the opportunity. And then I think a fourth P would be the praise that you get from others. When others start to comment on when you do a job and they think you do it excellently, and they see the results of what you do and they make comments, that's confirmation back to you that you are working in your purpose, in your calling. And then the positive results. That's the fifth P. You've got to see that things turn out well, that you are able to accomplish your goals in that and do positive work. If you're always failing at something, whatever you've chosen to do, and you just can't do it, that's obviously not your calling. And then I think that the sixth P in purpose, finding your purpose, is peace. Once you find that calling, I think there is a tremendous peace that comes over you, and personal satisfaction and just joy in your work.
Is there a time to get started? And I would imagine it was probably 20 years ago, right? But the next best time is today or tomorrow, right? But how does one get started?
I think it becomes a passion and a realization that you can start over. Too many people live with regret. Well, if I were 30 years younger, I would have done that. Or if I had had more money when I was 22, I would have gotten a degree in such and such. Looking back doesn't really help except to assess the skills we've acquired, things that we've learned, experiences that we've had. But I think we get started by becoming aware. I want to change paths. I want a different circumstance. I want to find something that brings me more joy, that I have more passion in. And then you just pivot. I mean, it goes right along with the other 6 Ps I've mentioned in other situations. Pivot and start over. In fact, we see a lot of books now, currently, about the second half of life. Someone has a long career and then they want to go in a different direction. That happens all the time. It's not something that you have to say, well, if I haven't done that by age 40, I'm not going to be able to do it. Many people have achieved great success late in life. I was once on a platform with Peter Drucker, who, is the father of modern management. And he was still out there speaking and contributing when he was in his 90s.
Yeah.
So it's not too late, but awareness and a decision to make a change comes first. That's the starting point.
I remember many years ago hearing about Colonel Sanders was over 60, I think, when he started his franchise, Kentucky Fried Chicken. So very much along the lines of what you're talking about. And I would also add, in some cases, the circumstances might even be more favorable for you later in life, depending on what your situation might be. And so rather than, say, no, it'll never happen, maybe this is the actual best time to
Certainly.
So, sure.
Certainly, we may have needed to have a certain life experiences before we were prepared for that. So I
Yep.
know many people in the second half of their life have achieved more than they did in the first part.
Yeah, it's fascinating and also very encouraging to think about. Let me move on, Dianna, to your company, Booher Research, and what you're doing these days. What are you working on?
Primarily, I'm coaching now. I'm coaching people on how to get their message out, their word. Like I said, there are many executives who've run a successful business, or they've turned around something in a bankrupt situation. It could be professionals who just learned a more productive way to do something, and they want to write their life experience, their how-to, their expertise, whatever it is. So I'm coaching them and writing that book, the process, selling it to a major publisher. And then I still coach people on executive presence, how to present themselves well if they're in the boardroom, to express themselves concisely, and to think on their feet. Those are two key topics that I coach on now.
And you have been on stage as a speaker at many conferences and meetings, and you still doing that as well?
Not quite so much. I'm spending more time writing and coaching. But yes, when I was on stage a lot, I was talking about communication expertise and resolving conflict. Again, learning what those skills are that take you to the top that now are often actually required as a minimum to get to the next level in your job.
I was just going to say that it seems as though the more and more we talk about the changing economy and the way we're into a whole brand new way of looking at technology, and now of course AI, but yet the skills of communication and leadership just do not go away, and if not required, even more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The more isolated people are, the more they have a desire to connect with other people. They just don't know how. We've been sitting behind a computer so long, playing with our cell phones so long, that many people have lost the ability to really connect both mentally with the mind and also with the heart. And when you're trying to persuade someone, that's exactly the two areas you need to focus on. How do I win them over to change their heart and their mind? And that is a skill that can be learned very easily. It can be learned.
Well, Dianna, I want to thank you very much for joining us. This has been great, and we definitely appreciate your time.
Sure. Thank you. It's great to be with you, Wes.
And you can get Dianna's books, including Your Signature Life, and so your signature work on Amazon and other places you can find books, right? How can folks find you as well and reach out to you?
Booher Research is just like my name. I always say it's Booher, except don't. Booher, BooherResearch.com.
All right. Thanks so much.
Sure.